are you today? It is so wonderful to have you guys all joining us. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes here to let people keep kind of pouring into this meeting room. This is a first for us. You can probably see Alicia is in one room. I'm in a completely different house. I'm sure you guys are all going through this right now, which is crazy with all this COVID-19 stuff, but BombBomb is completely remote. We've gone fully remote. So we're working in different locations. We're going to keep talking and chatting with each other, but we're in the same boat as you guys are today, which is super fun. So
remote.
That's right. I'm sure you guys are all dealing with it. So just to take care of a couple of the housekeeping things, I see there's already some chats coming in, but as always, we want to hear from you guys during this webinar. So if you have something to say, there's a couple of ways that you guys can communicate with us. One is the chat box at the bottom of Zoom. There's a little chat option. Click on that. Hop in. Let us know. In fact, if you're in here waiting, go ahead and let us know where you're joining us from. We always love to hear the wide range of locations that we have people, just so you know how to use that. If you've got questions, if you've got things to add to different things we're saying, put it in there. Now, as you can see, this is a perfect example if you're in chat right now. It gets flying sometimes. So if you have a really important question, I'm going to point you to the second option that we have, which is the Q&A feature on Zoom. If you've got something that you think is going to be pertinent for a lot of people or you don't want it to get missed, please go into that Q&A section because we can monitor those questions. We've actually got Aaron and Allie who are helping us answer these questions and monitoring all this stuff today. It will be a huge help if you can put it in there. That way we don't miss stuff. They'll even tag some stuff for us to answer live. They'll answer some things if it's specific to you. So those are the two options as we're talking through all this stuff, chat and then that Q&A feature down below there. So to introduce myself here, my name's Kevin Andrews. If you haven't been on one of these webinars before, I'm the Client Enablement Manager here at BombBomb, which is basically just a fancy way of saying I get to help you guys. So I love being here. And I'll let Alicia introduce herself as well.
Hey guys, for those of you that don't know, my name is Alicia. I am the national speaker at BombBomb, which means that I spend most of my time educating and inspiring and really doing webinars just like this, sometimes on stage, but that won't be for a while. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity every single month to come and be with you guys, especially now while we are all a little bit more displaced. So we hope that you guys get some value out of today to help you with LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a little bit of a hidden gem right now.
Mm-hmm. It is, and we're excited to talk about it. And I already saw some stuff on chat about, is this being recorded? Absolutely. This is being recorded. It will be emailed to you guys after this. So we know we're going to cover a lot of information. We talk about a lot of good stuff. But if you want to refer back to that, we'll send you that recording. So let's go ahead and jump into this now that we've had a couple of minutes to kind of talk through everything. And let's just kind of go over what we're talking about. Alicia, what are we going to cover today?
Kevin, can you put your PowerPoint in presenter mode for us?
Oh, absolutely. Am I sharing the wrong screen? There we go.
So we're going to jump in and we're really going to start talking just with this idea of why LinkedIn. You know, we normally talk a lot about why video, but since this is our customer webinar, I'm guessing that most of you guys are totally on board with video. So we're going to talk about why LinkedIn. We're going to go over some best practices for using video on LinkedIn. We're going to tell you about our Chrome extension because that is the easiest and fastest way to get video into your LinkedIn messages for that connection. And then we are going to share with you guys the 3 best ways to use LinkedIn, okay? So just want to remind you all that every single month we are sending out these deep dive emails that are corresponding with the webinar. We want to make sure that we provide value. So if you haven't checked out Ethan's deep dive content piece this month on LinkedIn, go back to your inbox and check it out. If you are a BombBomb customer, you absolutely have this deep dive. If you're getting emails about registering for this webinar, then you most likely got that deep dive email. So go in there, check it out, watch Ethan's video. It's a good supplement to what we're jumping in today.
Well, and just know this is a routine. This is a new muscle that we're starting to build this year. We send out content at the beginning of the month, which is the deep dive email, and it's always going to be consistent with our webinar that you're on. So
Yep.
know that all of this stuff is going to be really talking to each other. It's going to be very consistent, a consistent theme. And so we want to make sure that we're helping give you as much ammo and as much info. So that's the beautiful part about that, is it just really helps just give you more ideas and really be succinct with all of the content that we're giving you. So let's jump in a little bit deeper into why LinkedIn. Why is LinkedIn a powerful thing? In fact, I'll even pose a little question for you guys. How many of you guys have LinkedIn profiles? I'm sure a lot of you are nodding your head. Yes, we got a bunch of raised hands. That's great. How many of you are actually using your LinkedIn? My entire screen is covered with raised hands right now, and that's amazing. So the real question is, how many of you guys are actually using it? How effective are we being with our LinkedIn profiles? Well, the number one thing I want you guys to know is you need to do more on there. This is a really powerful platform that is just rising and rising and rising with the benefits that it's providing. So the number one reason here is it's content creator platform. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, this is really a platform where people are going on to provide quality content. Alicia and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. You can go on Facebook and you lose the valuable information amidst what somebody's eating for dinner that night, people falling down hills and fail videos, right? I mean, there's just so much funny, enjoyable, I'm not denying that, but just funny content that when it actually comes time to, I want to learn about my business, I want to have a community where I can build and learn and experience new things, LinkedIn is really filling that void for a lot of people. And people come here to provide that content.
And LinkedIn is really value driven, which is a thing that makes it so unique right now. Whereas, you know, a lot of the social platforms, they're social driven, right? You have TikTok and you have people posting the dog videos, whereas LinkedIn is value driven.
Mm-hmm. And that's really important for multiple things, right? One, you can go on there to learn value. It's also a great place for you to share value, for you to be the expert in what you're talking about. Now, the great part about this as well is LinkedIn is driving new members. They are growing rapidly. This is a huge focus for them. So they were purchased by Microsoft a little while ago, and Microsoft has said, we want this to be a thing. We want this to grow. So you can see as of right now, there's 660 million members on LinkedIn. Now, what I love about that stat for LinkedIn is you don't see people with 5 different LinkedIn profiles, right? You can see people with 10 Facebook pages and all these different things. So that makes those stats look better. But it's really 660 million people that are on there because you don't build 5 different profiles for yourself. But what's really exciting about this is they want to grow. Microsoft wants to be at 1 billion users by the end of 2020. That's a huge growth. I mean, that's almost doubling where they're at right now, right? So what's important to know about that is they are putting effort and money and energy into making this platform work. If they want to grow that much, they have to put the energy in. And one of the big areas they've put a lot of focus in is video. And so that's a beautiful part about this. They've really changed their video platform, how it works, how it plays, those sort of things. A lot of the BombBomb people are using LinkedIn to promote different things. So we can say firsthand, that's what's really, really nice about that. The third reason here is that people do come to LinkedIn to literally talk shop. They want to learn about business. Now, the great thing I've learned about working at BombBomb for a couple of years, but being more on LinkedIn, is that so many of the pains across so many different industries are very, very similar. We're all going through really similar things. And that's what I love about it, is that you can go in and see somebody who owns a vacuum store in England, and they might be experiencing some of the things. They may have a tip for you that can help you with where you're at in your business. That connectivity of this business communication, I think, is really, really powerful. I've seen it. I've grabbed all sorts of tremendous ideas just off friends sharing different videos they've seen. I'm sure you can speak to that as well, Alicia, yeah?
Yep, absolutely. Especially internally at BombBomb, our business development team, they've been really encouraged to consistently be posting content. And it has been so cool to watch their networks grow as they're posting content, which is really helping all of us get better, because as you know, as their networks grow, we all get a little bit more connected to people that we weren't connected to before. And we're seeing their content and we're learning. And I have been so excited about how much I am getting from LinkedIn just by being there a little bit more consistent and engaging. You're finding more like-minded people that are sharing value.
Yeah, a fun thing I've experienced too, and Alicia, you can probably speak to this as well, is as we've been hosting these webinars and things, I've had our customers find me on LinkedIn and friend me, and we've been able to start conversations about things that were really beneficial for them, things that weren't. It's been really, really awesome to have that connectivity based around business, right? Based around benefiting each other in that sense.
Well, and because people are coming to LinkedIn either to provide business value or to learn and talk shop, there's less noise.
Totally. Yes. I'll leave it at that. That's a perfect end to that. The last piece that I do want to touch on here about why LinkedIn is really helpful is I don't want you to think that I feel like a lot of times we feel like we fit in different boxes, right? Think about when you meet somebody new. What's a very general question people either ask you or you ask them? So what do you do?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure you all have been asked that question a million different times. But what's interesting about this is your friends, let's say you're a realtor, right? Your people that are buying homes are also business people, right? They are on LinkedIn talking about work, talking about those things. Maybe it's in a different way than your relationship is. That doesn't mean that they're not there. And vice versa, right? If you're talking with somebody about business things, well, maybe they love the same sports teams as you. You can find those personal connections. And I think that's so important to remember. In fact, one of my good friends started asking people the question, so what do you love? And I love that question versus what do you do? Because we all have these multidimensional aspects of what makes us who we are. And that's why we're on LinkedIn and Facebook at the same time, right? So know that your people are on these platforms. It doesn't have to be all business all the time. So the last thing that I want to touch on, just kind of this overall summation of why LinkedIn, is that it's really working. And I really want you to remember that. I know we have got a lot of people who are very analytical, like numbers, those sort of things. Well, this is going to be the slide for you here. HubSpot recently did a study of LinkedIn and social media platforms and lead generation and what's working the best. And they actually studied over 5,000 different businesses. And what they found is that LinkedIn generated the highest visitor to lead conversion rate at almost 3%, which was so much higher than both Twitter and Facebook. It works. People are not just having conversations, it's generating leads. In fact, the stats even went on deeper to once these leads actually went onto the business's website, they were 90% more likely to actually have conversations and actually have demos. Their activity there was just, it blew them away. Everybody has been shocked by this. So while all those things we showed you are important and it's great, those are great reasons to be on LinkedIn, this is it. If you're looking to generate more leads, if you're looking to build more on your business, LinkedIn has proven to be more effective in that area. So I want you to remember that as we're talking through all these best practices and all these different ways to use it here.
Well, and I think the important thing to note as we start moving into best practices here is that the reason why LinkedIn is so effective as a prospecting and conversion tool right now is because it's not flooded with noise. So we want to make sure, we want to encourage you. This is an incredible opportunity. Use this platform. But when you are starting to jump into LinkedIn and starting to use this platform, if you flood it with noise and worst practices and are showing up on LinkedIn the way that maybe you've seen people show up on Facebook, it's just not going to work the same. And it's going to lose some of the stickiness that it has right now.
Sure.
So when you're talking about using video on LinkedIn, best practices is to still pay attention to your thumbnail image. And we're going to show you exactly how to grab that image and get it into your LinkedIn messages. But a couple things. Number one, using someone's name is still so effective. When you put a BombBomb video into a LinkedIn message, it is going to populate that video thumbnail. So if you can put something specific to them, their name on that whiteboard, it's going to capture their attention. They're going to know it's personal and that this is not a blast. Again, best practices. You can also do this with the screen share. If you are not familiar with BombBomb's screen recorder, that screen recorder is going to give you the ability to record anything that's on your screen, as well as it keeps your video right down there. So this is Jonathan Mahan, one of our sales guys, on someone else's LinkedIn profile using the screen recorder, because again, if I open up a message from you and I see my LinkedIn profile, again, I know it's personal to me. We have a story that we tell when we're talking on a longer session just specifically about thumbnails, but we had a sales guy customer who was doing cold prospecting on LinkedIn and could not get a response from a guy. And so he went to this executive's page and scrolled around, just did a couple minutes of research. And he saw that this executive was really into gourmet coffee from all over the world. So on that whiteboard, he drew a picture of a coffee cup with coffee in it and steam coming off. And he put that executive's company logo on the coffee cup. So it was just a little drawing on his whiteboard of a coffee cup with the guy's company logo. And he sent that video in LinkedIn. He got a response almost immediately that said, okay, you got my attention. Let's put some time on the calendar. So you can use that thumbnail as a way to really capture people's attention, disrupt what they're expecting, and give some sort of personal detail on that video thumbnail that will let them know that this is specific to them. The other thing that you really want to pay attention to when you're sending video over LinkedIn is to include text with the video. If you are just sending a video with no text to accompany it, the likelihood that someone is going to look at that and be like, I don't know what I'm getting here. I don't know if I want to press play is pretty high. So the same best practices that we teach you with email, you want to include text with the video that actually drives to the video play. For example, when I get, connection requests, I did a webinar for Girls Club, a podcast for Girls Club a few weeks ago. And when that podcast was over, I was getting tons of LinkedIn requests from people I didn't know. And I would respond with a quick video, but something to the effect of, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. I recorded you a quick video below to properly introduce myself. Press play. So you're just giving a little bit of a teaser with that video to let them know what they're going to expect or what they're going to see when they play the video.
Now, I was just kind of peeking through the Q&A there, Alicia. I think I love stories, right? Hearing real stories of how this is working, when you've been on the recipient side, when you've been on the sending side. I think that is so powerful just to show you in real life this stuff is working. One of the questions that we did just have pop up in the Q&A was, can I do a screen share recording without my face in the little circle? You can. You do have the option to close that. I am always going to tell you not to. This is something we talk with a lot of people about. The functionality is there. You can absolutely close that out, but you want them to get to know you. You want them to see you. Your voice helps, right? It's better than just text, but we want to make sure that they're getting the full impact of who you are. So I always want to encourage you guys to use that, to use your face on there, whether it's a video like this or whether you're doing a screen share. Definitely keep that stuff going.
Well, and the win with video is be there in person when you can't be there in person, which is something we talk about all the time. And I understand there's some fear there. A lot of people have to kind of work through this uncomfortability with having your face there. But if you're not going to show up to a meeting with a paper bag over your face, why are you covering your face in this virtual space when we're giving you the power of having that face-to-face almost like you would in a real meeting?
Heck, if I saw somebody send me a video with a bag over their head, I might look at that. That would get me interested. Right? We're talking new best practices now, I guess. So good. So with these videos, we wanted to give you a basic framework as well of how to reach out to people, what to put in a video, because a lot of these LinkedIns are going to be people that you haven't met before, right? People that you don't necessarily know firsthand. So what are some great best practices that you can use to really make sure that you're having the best connection you possibly can? And what I want to show you here is, I love acronyms. I love easy ways to remember things. That's just the way my brain works. So I'm going to show you the 3 R's, and it's relevance, reward, request. This is a great best practice if you're doing cold calling, if you're reaching out to people, but especially with videos of people that don't necessarily know you as well, right? So the relevance, what's important about this is Why are you reaching out? What is the point of this video? You're not just going to send a video to say, hey, just wanted to send you a video, right? That doesn't have a lot of value to the actual person themselves. So you've got to show them why this is relevant, why you're actually reaching out. Now, the reward is the next step of that. What can they gain from touching base with you, right? What is the value? That I cannot say that word enough times when I'm doing trainings, when I'm talking about communication. What is the value that you are able to provide this person? That is maybe the most important thing to put in there, is we want them to know that I'm not just a random person who's sending you another message with the other 50 that you've gotten. Here's why I reached out to you specifically, which is the relevance, and here's what I can give you. Here's the value that I can provide. And then last but not least is the request, right? A common term that this is referenced to is a call to action, right? What are you wanting from them? The number one most important thing when it comes to the request is be specific. Now, what I mean by that is don't say, great, so I'd love to find a time to chat with you maybe in the next couple of weeks or a month. So email me or text me. Let me know how I can help. I've probably said that on a call before. Guess what? I didn't get that appointment, I can promise you. The reason being is it was really, really vague. So what we need to do is we need to narrow that down. One, narrow down how you want them to reach out to you. Be specific about that. And also be specific on what you're trying to do. So if you are trying to set an appointment, hey, I'd love to set a quick 15 minutes with you. Let me know if Thursday or Friday would be better for you, and email me back with what day and time works best. Now we've let them know exactly what we want them to answer and exactly how we want them to do that. It just takes all those question marks out. People will get held up by those little question marks, by those hurdles. So think about that with the request portion there. Make it specific, be really specific. So write that down. If you have a pen and paper, relevance, reward, request, it's a great, simple, easy framework to still have short videos that make sense and are impactful and are value driven, which is great. So now that Alicia and I have gone over a couple of things about best practices, we wanted to take a second and go over worst practice, right? What do you not want to do on Facebook? So
LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn. This was driven by Ethan Butte, who is our chief evangelist here at BombBomb. He posted a really, really simple question on LinkedIn just to ask what people like. How do they like to respond? And his question was basically, what do you do when somebody asks to connect with you and the second that you connect with them sends you a sales message or tries to sell you on something? Alicia's getting heated over there. So basically, in long story short, I'll give you the answer to that. Don't do this. When people try to connect and immediately try to sell you on something, in fact, I got 2 of these yesterday, right? It was people, hey, I'm starting a new company for blah, 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 would love to interview you, right? I didn't know this person. I'd never talked to them before. This was not a personal touch. And here's what we learned. And he got over hundreds of different comments on that. He got thousands of views on this video. And I want to show you just some of the basic stats. And then Alicia's going to talk a little bit more about the psychology beyond this. But of the people that responded and said, this happens to me, 27.6% of that said, I disconnect from that person immediately. I'm done, right? So you just lost over a quarter of your people that just said, not only do I not want to deal with this person, but I negatively have a bad impact from that person, right? Then of the next people, 23.7% ignore the message. So we just wiped out half the people that you just communicated with that are either ignoring you or disconnecting with you, right? Negative responses. That means you've got more than a 50% chance to have a negative response than you do a positive response. 10.5% actually said that they engaged with the message and then they actually deleted or archived it, said, get it out of here. I don't want to deal with it. Usually those engaged responses were not good ones. I can tell you that from the feedback that we got. It's usually a quick, hey, thanks for the message, or maybe this isn't the best way to reach out to people, and then they delete it or archived it. And last but not least, this is actually the strongest one. 5.3% of people literally blocked the message or reported this person. That takes a lot of effort to go through that. So that's showing you that 5% of the people that you reached out to felt strongly enough that they disliked this to actually go through those extra steps. So I'm going to do rough math here, but we're looking at about 65 to 70% of people not only didn't have just a neutral response, had a negative response to this connection. That's not good. Can it work every once in a while? Yes, that's why people do it. But if I told you you've got a 30% chance of not making people upset, that's not a very good ratio, right? So don't do this. From the responses we've seen, we know how it feels when Alicia and I get messages like this. I'm sure you've gotten them on LinkedIn before. Don't do this. And Alicia, talk a little bit about kind of the psychology behind it.
Yeah, and this actually leads really great into a question that I see there in chat. Drake said, I agree, but this contradicts the last point. Be specific for what reason and value. I'm confused. So the rule of thumb with this kind of connection point is that you have to provide value first before you're allowed to ask for anything. So I do a lot of teaching on recruiting, and recruiting is my absolute favorite topic to talk about, which is something that people use LinkedIn a lot for. And I always say that recruiting is a little bit like dating, right? You cannot call someone up on the phone that you've never met before and say, will you marry me? Well, you can.
Yeah.
I see people jumping on LinkedIn and sending a message request and then trying to sell you. But it's not going to get you very far. In fact, if someone calls you up on the phone that you've never met and says, will you marry me? You're probably going to respond the same way that people respond to these immediate sales asks. You're either going to hang up the phone, or you're going to ignore them, or you're going to block that phone number. So when you're talking about connecting with people on LinkedIn, you really have to provide value first. You have to give them an opportunity to see that you are someone that, number one, has value to offer, and number two, that you are interested in more than just getting something from them. So if you're going out of your way to connect with someone, even if your goal is prospecting, those first messages should be an item of value or an introduction, right? If you're just sending a video to introduce yourself and say, hey, thank you so much for accepting my connection request. This is what I do. This is how I serve people. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Reply to this message. I'd be happy to talk. That's not a sales ask. That is letting people know what you are. And then to continue on with that relationship, provide value. Hey, saw this article. You might think it's interesting. Drop it their way, or whatever it is. Before you make an ask of anyone, you need to make sure that you have established that relationship enough that you have permission to ask. And that's why people get so turned off. When the moment you connect with them, they're asking for something. They're asking for your time, right? Or they're asking for you to engage with their product or to buy. And that's where they get turned off. You have to do a good job of building the relationship and building value before you're allowed to ask.
Alicia, I heard a really funny term for this as I was researching and spending more time on LinkedIn. And somebody was doing kind of a panel on this, and they said, I hate when you can smell somebody's commission breath. And I was like, that's funny and true, right? You can smell the desperation when they send you that message of, hey, do you guys want to use this? What do you use? Can I help you with that? Let's set up an appointment. There's a very different feeling than, hey, what are you guys doing in this manner? You know, I would love to hear how you guys are handling that issue, blah, 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 right? You're able to build your value. So I thought that term commission breath was really funny and accurate, right? I think we've all smelled that to some extent. So let's go ahead and just kind of look back at our agenda here and look at some of the things we've already covered. So we already talked about why LinkedIn. Alicia and I went over a lot of the different best practices and those sort of things. So the last couple of things that we want to touch on before, of course, we open up for some questions is we want to show you the Chrome extension, because like Alicia said earlier, that's going to be absolutely the easiest way to copy links and things into your LinkedIn. And then we're also going to go through some actual examples, the 3 best ways to use video through LinkedIn itself. So
we've been getting a lot of questions in the chat and in the Q&A about the Chrome extension. So if you've been curious about this and you are distracted, if you're checking, text on your phone or checking email, you're going to want to come back, because the Chrome extension is the best and fastest way to send personal video messages inside of LinkedIn.
So first off, it's super easy to add. If you have not added it yet, the easiest way, the way that I like to do it, one, you can go into the Chrome store and search for BombBomb and add it that way. You can literally open Google in your Chrome browser and type in BombBomb Chrome extension, and it'll be the #1 link that pops up there. It takes all of 15 seconds to actually add it to your computer. So it's really, really easy. The benefit of this, why it's so easy and why it's so simple is one, it's very streamlined, but two, it's literally wherever you are online, you can click on this. So our Chrome extension puts our little BombBomb logo up here in the top corner. So when you're looking at Chrome, now you can see I've got a couple of different extensions. There's a lot of great stuff up there, but you'll see our little BombBomb logo. All I did to bring up this little pop-up window is click on that. So I'm logged into my account, and what you can see here is it gives me multiple options. One, I can record a live video. So if you're doing a lot of one-off stuff, personalized stuff with your whiteboard, you can do that straight through the Chrome extension itself. You can hit the record button here.
And I just want to jump in and make sure that you guys know that you're logged into LinkedIn with that Chrome extension just right up in the corner. So you're on your LinkedIn, you can see all of your LinkedIn messages, and you're just accessing that video option from that tiny corner up in your Chrome browser.
So from a time aspect, it's huge, right? You're not going back and forth between all these different websites trying to do stuff. You do also have access to your video library. So we are going to talk a little bit about the ability to use evergreen videos for some different responses. If you've got a LinkedIn video that's saved for X, Y, and Z reason, you can grab that straight from the Chrome extension up here. And what's great about this, after you've recorded your video or picked your video from your library, we give you the option. The one that I want to draw your attention to right now is this copy link, this little light blue button that says copy link. Now, there are two options on here, and I always like to address what these are. The one that says copy link with preview, that big orange button, that's going to be great for emailing. If you're taking your video and putting it in different email providers and those sort of things, the reason being in short terms is that uses actually HTML code. That's what puts our little animated preview in the email itself. The reason we don't want to do that with LinkedIn, with Facebook, with any social platform is because it doesn't use HTML coding. So basically you would just be pasting a bunch of gibberish into an email, and it doesn't look very good. I can promise you. I've done it by mistake. So, so that's why we want to direct you to, instead of doing the preview, that's perfect for email, but on any social platform, you'll use this copy link. That's going to give you the URL for this video. Each video that you have in BombBomb has its own personalized URL. So don't worry about it grabbing other things or people having access to different videos or those sort of things. Yeah, go ahead, Alicia.
The great thing about that is because when you copy that link, much like you're used to seeing on Facebook, if you put a link in your post and it populates the image of whatever link you're doing, whether it's a blog or a video, when you use that copy link functionality, both in LinkedIn messages and in Facebook Messenger messages, it does populate the video thumbnail. I did see a question in chat where someone said, can you choose the thumbnail that you want? Now for LinkedIn, it's not going to let you choose the thumbnail. It's just going to grab that first frame, but that's where your whiteboard trick comes in handy, because if the very first image on that video is you with the whiteboard holding up, I have a math equation because we were teaching teachers yesterday, but if you had someone's name on there that, hi Kevin, play this video, that will be the very first image that both LinkedIn messaging and Facebook messaging is going to grab, and that first frame is what it populates.
So you're saying you don't recommend putting long division on the whiteboard when you're reaching out to people?
Maybe not.
It'll get them thinking. They won't be expecting it. That's
it might be unexpected.
Yeah. So just to kind of sum up why the Chrome extension is helpful, you can find these links in your videos tab in BombBomb. So if you don't want to add the Chrome extension or don't want to deal with that, you can do this. However, the Chrome extension, because you can stay in LinkedIn, pop that open, and then just copy this link right here and paste that into your message on LinkedIn, just makes life a lot easier. It really streamlines that process for you. So let's jump into a couple of strategies, a couple of different ways that are really best practices for using video on LinkedIn. And number one, this has been one that's already come up as we've been talking through this, is that idea of cold prospecting. I feel like Alicia did a great job covering the benefits, the way to do this. So I honestly don't feel like I need to explain a ton more on this because she nailed it. But yeah, what did you want to add to that, Alicia?
I think a couple things to really pay attention to is that when you are cold prospecting, especially on LinkedIn, it's the same rule of thumb if you're a real estate agent, right? You are always going to have better results if you can make it personal. Yes, you have the ability to use evergreen videos, but the kind of engagement that you're going to get of an evergreen video that everyone knows is not personal, where you're like, hey, it's me from such and such company. Have you ever wondered, blah, blah, blah. That sort of impersonal message is not going to get the same kind of engagement as making it personal.
Mm-hmm.
And especially using a personal video. This still has a huge surprise and delight. So where you see what Todd is doing here, Todd is one of our business development guys. He put that company name right on there. Turnkey, how can I help? So he made it personal to them. He's offering value right away by saying, how can I be of service to you? And that is why this works. Making it personal and providing value is the reason why it works. If you try and take shortcuts here, you're not going to see the same kind of results.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Turnkey family, I hope Friday's treating you well. As you can see, I'm currently working from home, as is the entire BombBomb community. I'm not sure if that's affecting you guys at Turnkey as well, if you're working remote or if you're continuing to go into the office, but I know right now is definitely an interesting time. So I wanted to find out how I could help you and your teams communicate more clearly and stay in touch with your clients. I know that right now communication is going to be really different than we've ever experienced in our country.
I love a couple of things about his video. One, he relates immediately. I'm working from home, right? I'm dealing with these same things that I'm assuming or anticipating that you guys might be dealing with as well, right? So there's automatically that relatability there of going, hey, I can imagine how this feels. You know, how can I help with that? But I also love that he just straight up calls it out. Like, hey, communication's different now than it was literally a week ago. Yeah. We are having to figure this out as we're working through all of this COVID stuff. I mean, it is a strange thing, and it's okay to say that. It's okay to address that and say, do you guys have a plan in place? If you do, great, right? I'm not here to impede on that. We have a solution that could potentially be helpful for you if that's something that you're still looking for. And I just love the way he positions that, yeah. And
you notice that even though he is doing his job, which as a business development representative, his job is to cold prospect, right? He is doing his job, but he also is offering value first. He is not saying, click this link and schedule an appointment so I can tell you what it is that we do. He's asking the question, how can I help? Which is, there's a difference. Yes, he's still selling. He's still doing his job, but he's framing it from a place of providing service and asking how he can help and listening, as opposed to telling and selling.
Yep, and I love that. And this really goes, we had a question come in from somebody on the Q&A as well. They're a financial advisor. They're going, obviously the relevance is the market and what the market's doing. Basically, a great way to position any of these sort of things is, how can you help? What do you bring to the equation that they can't find on their own? I can go on Google and see that the market tanked yesterday, right? Went down the biggest drop in however many years. What they can't do is find, what does that actually mean to me as somebody that might be interested in investing? In fact, I was messaging one of my friends last week asking, is now a good time to buy? Am I hearing this right? That expertise is what you provide. And so I love questions of like, hey, you've probably seen that the market is crazy right now. A lot of my clients are asking, what does that actually mean to us? If that's something that you're curious about, we'd love to help, right? That's the expertise. That's true for real estate. That's true for lending. I heard rumors going around that they're doing 0% loans for home loans right now. That's not true, right? But people are making these assumptions, right? Your expertise, your knowledge of your industry is a huge amount of value that you can provide to people, which I think is great.
Yep.
So item number one there, cold prospecting. If you do have to reach out, that's a great way to use LinkedIn. Now, I have seen some chats and some questions in the Q&A about this next idea here. It's the connection aspect of LinkedIn, right? We talked about what you shouldn't do is connect and immediately try to sell somebody, but there's great ways that you can use video in this initial part of the relationship. And back to what Alicia was saying before is, I want you to focus on the relationship and the value aspect more than the sale aspect, or what can I get out of this aspect, right? And so this is Javed Khan. What I love about this, and I mentioned we would show you some evergreen style videos, he literally has this evergreen video. Every time somebody connects with him, He takes the time to grab this video and send it back to them. That's great. What a great way to start building a relationship versus just now I have a picture and I can look at your resume history, right, on LinkedIn. Now we can get to know the people and maybe start to schedule some time to talk through a little bit deeper aspects of what this can be, but it makes it so much more personal. It makes it real humans talking to each other.
Well, and I love what you have there right up at the top of the slide is disrupt, because this is still relatively new. Most people that send you a connection request do not expect to get a video back. So you have this surprise and delight in your favor that is going to pique their interest. Again, even when you're cold prospecting, if that first touch is a video and you're not asking for the sale, you're delighting them. It's disrupting what they expect, and it's going to give you an advantage.
Yep. Oops, see if I can play this one here.
Hello, my friend. I am so glad we are now connected on LinkedIn. Now it's the time for us to start a conversation and share ideas and stories and content with each other. So let's figure out a time and date for us to connect either by a video call or a good old telephone call. Take a look at your schedule and see if we can get together for, I would say, about 15 to 20 minutes. All right, thanks. And remember, stay memorable, not forgettable.
Now, one of the things I love about Javid is like he has like his thing, that saying at the end, right? Stay memorable, not forgettable. We have communicated back and forth. He has said that to me. I know that about him. So this is how he's created a way to make himself memorable, right? I love that aspect about it, but he's smiling the whole time. You really just get an idea of, okay, this is who this guy is. He didn't ask for business once in that video. And I love that. It's literally like, hey, now's the time for us to get to know each other and see how we can help each other out. I love that.
It's interesting because for someone who's not actually interested in connection and finding value, but is just mass sending connection requests for the purpose of selling, you really, because the way he responds is, let's talk about how we can share stories and provide value to each other. He's very much putting an expectation right away that his goal for connection is to provide mutual value, which I love.
Exactly, right? You are in control of this relationship as well, not just the person. So this goes both ways. It's a great way to respond to connections. It's also a great way if you do have a connection that you want to send out, right? Let them know immediately, hey, my goal here is not to just benefit from you. It's, hey, maybe we know somebody in common or we do something. Disrupt that connection. If they get 3 connections and then yours with a video, that's different, right? Now I want to get to know this person. Now I understand your intentions and we can figure out this relationship part together. So know that it does go both ways, which is great. So the third way that we wanted to show you this morning was about that feed that's in LinkedIn, right? How do you start to use that feed and make that a space where you can be valuable? Well, you can put content up in your feed. There's a lot of different theories and thoughts on this, but I want you guys to start thinking about this in a way that hopefully takes some of the pressure off. First off, if you're recording videos and putting it on your feed, this does not have to be world-burning news that's going to change everybody's perspective for the rest of time. How often do we actually have those ideas, right? Now, if you have one, of course, put it up there. But what I love about this is you are an expert in different areas. And one of the strategies that I heard that I thought made so much sense was allow yourself to be the expert in not just business, right? Maybe you have something really beneficial to put out there for parenting. Maybe you feel like you're an expert at marriage. I don't know who would, but maybe you do, right? Whatever those things are that you are invested in your life, you're good at those things. Allow yourself to put that sort of content out. This is Ray. She's a BombBomber as well. She works on the customer success side. She's a customer success associate. And she has really taken this concept and run with it. She's putting up multiple videos a week of just thoughts. She gets really into the psychology and the building people up to be confident and comfortable in themselves to use video or communicate with people more effectively. And because she loves that, she has the ideas all the time, right? And so I love that because it's something that she's passionate about. You feel the passion on her videos every time you watch them. You feel the excitement that she has. But one of the things that she's also told me is she's like, as I think of the ideas, I just write them down on my phone or on a piece of paper, right? It's way easier to write down ideas when you think of them than to sit down and focus time to try to think of different ideas, right? We've all probably done it. Be like, all right, I'm going to spend 1 hour to come up with some great posts. And you're sitting there just going, okay, I don't know what to say. Yeah, just twiddling your thumbs, your fingers. And I think that's a great idea. As something comes up, write it down. That way, when you're like, man, I want to record something today, you have ideas and you can run with it and it takes a lot less time. So I love that idea of just building yourself as the expertise. Yeah.
If you guys want to talk about expanding your reach and expanding your network, LinkedIn is so hot for this right now with posting content in the feed. The amount of connection requests that I get just from commenting on someone else's video or commenting on a post and engaging in conversations. And I think that's one of the things that's really cool about LinkedIn right now. I think some of the other social media platforms, and I'm not going to call any of them out specifically, but it's kind of become like a screaming ground where everyone wants their voice to be the loudest and their opinions the loudest. Whereas LinkedIn, I feel like there's such a collaborative, conversational thing that's happening on LinkedIn that it gives you an opportunity to really expand your network and be exposed to other business professionals that care about the same things you do, even if it's not relevant to your business, right? If someone is posting a piece of content talking about a book that they're reading that is challenging them on their negative self-talk, and you get in there and join in that conversation, you're connecting with people that are more like-minded, but it's more conversational. It's not the everyone look at me, I have the loudest opinion here. It's so collaborative.
And what I love about this too is it expands your reach a lot. I mean, Ray, so this, I saw a couple questions of who is this? This is Ray Ross. She's a bomb bomber, like I mentioned before. What she mentioned to me is this video alone that I'll play for you guys got her almost 900 views. That's a lot, right? I can post videos all day long on Facebook and get 15 to 20 views, but 900 views. I even experienced this some. I've started putting just kind of thought pieces up, things that invoke responses and questioning and thinking on I've been getting 300, 400, 500 views per video. That's not normal for me. I don't want you to think that I just expect that and get that all the time. I don't. And so I want you to know people are hungry for that information. They're excited to watch this stuff. And I've gotten connection requests because of some of these videos that I posted that people found, right? And we've been able to have conversations. So let me show you a little example of just how she's herself, how she's real, uses our style of video in that expertise manner.
Ooh, I just got called out. I was just talking to a couple of my coworkers about how it's so hard to consistently create valuable content to post on LinkedIn. And they told me to start sharing stories about myself and my experiences because that's an authentic approach to starting a conversation and seeing what other people are experiencing.
And she goes on and talks a little bit longer, but you kind of get the gist, right? You get the idea. She introduces her idea and she's just real. I love how she starts that out with, I just got called out, right? Oh my gosh, what'd you get called? Like that just gets so much interest right away. You can't help but want to watch more of that video. Yep. And kind of understand it. So another expansion on this that I want you guys to know about is you may or may not have heard of Gary Vaynerchuk. He's actually the owner of a company called VaynerMedia, huge marketing company in New York City. He also wrote a book called Crushing It. He's written a couple of books. Man, if you want passion, this guy is your way. I will tell you, if you watch videos, the language can get a little vulgar, so be open to that. But he is passionate and he loves what he does. He was talking about LinkedIn specifically on why he uses it and why he thinks it's effective. And he actually drew correlations to his other platforms. One of the things he said is it took him 10 years to build up 1.8 million followers on Twitter, which that's a lot, right? But still 10 years. He said it took him 3 years to build up 5.2 million followers on LinkedIn. That's a third of the time and 5 times as many followers, right? He is seeing that build up. He said the 2 things that he thinks are the most important for LinkedIn videos are the entertainment and the education, right? How can I make this entertainment and interesting? How can I educate? How can I provide that value like we were talking about before? And he also dropped this amazing quote that I wanted to share with you guys because I want you guys to remember this as well. There no longer has to be a difference between who you are and what you do, right? At least I have Alicia clapping for me. I'll take it. We talked about this a little bit, so we don't need to dive super back into this, but we are all very multidimensional in so many different ways. And just because we work in different industries doesn't mean we can't connect, right? And just because I'm your realtor and you're my client doesn't mean I can't help you with business advice or take information from you from a business aspect. One of the things I've heard time and time again as I've looked up LinkedIn is, oh, well, I can only go there for work. That's not true at all. Don't go post what you're eating for dinner on LinkedIn, but build that connection, be personal, use the fact that we are all business people still trying to live a life that has lots of different levels to it and connect on those levels. That's what people want. So I want to definitely encourage you there. Last but not least, I did throw a little bonus video in, and then I know we're already 50 some minutes into this. So I want to make sure we have a little bit of time there for Q&As, but I wanted to show you one additional idea that I've heard time and time again as I've been talking with people who are very active on LinkedIn. And it's a congratulations type video. You know, we've all probably been notified of this person changed a job, this person had a birthday, this person just got promoted within their company, right? Oh my gosh, this is a perfect opportunity to reach out and show somebody you care and you're paying attention, right? It always feels good to be congratulated on things that we're accomplishing in life. I don't care who you are, it's nice to hear that. Well, think about if you get congratulated from somebody that maybe you don't even know that well on LinkedIn. That's going to start a conversation. And that's what we're all about. So this is awesome. This is Ken Okel, and he's actually a public speaker. You'll be able to tell right away. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's so clear with his speaking stuff, but he uses an evergreen video and just has this congratulations video that he can use every time he gets a promotion or a new job or some of those different situations.
Hi. According to our friends at LinkedIn, a wow is in order. Because you have a new position. I want to congratulate you on this opportunity, whether it's with the same organization or something totally different. I know that sometimes when you start something new at first, you're maybe a little nervous about it, but then over time, everything starts to make sense and you start to show that you're really good.
I love that he builds them up, right? He goes, hey, you might be a little nervous about this, but congratulations, you're gonna be awesome at this. It's great. It's that simple. If you can personalize it, do. If not, you can have one of these as well.
Well, and I would encourage you, if you're sending a congratulations video to someone that you actually have a relationship with, you probably want to make it personal. If you're using an evergreen video, save those for the people that you are not deeply connected with, and it might spur on a conversation. But definitely people that you know personally, I'd encourage you to make those personal and use those evergreens for a broader audience.
Yeah, totally agree. And I saw a chat come in going, that one didn't feel quite as personal as most of the videos that we show. You're right. And I think that's good for us to see those different examples. Now, the beautiful thing for Ken is he told me he's like, with these videos, he's got over 5,000 connections on LinkedIn. The difference is he's doing it, right? Is it the best video it could ever be? No, there's probably things he would even look at and say, oh, I could improve this, this, or this. If you have time to personalize it, like Alicia said, personalize it. But the most important thing is just do it. People are not doing it. This is a way for you to differentiate yourself and separate yourself from those different things. So let's go over real quick just some of the things that we talked about today, and then definitely let's open up some time for questions and things. But I want you to remember a couple of big things. LinkedIn is really valuable. Use it. It's an incredible tool. The Chrome extension will make your life a heck of a lot easier if you do use Chrome. If you're able to download that, it just streamlines that process for you. Use the thumbnail, right? That thumbnail will show up when you copy that link. So make sure you use that with the personalization or the tuned method that we talked about last month, right? Whatever aspect you want, do something that's going to grab their attention. And then the 3 different ways to win, whether it's reaching out on connection requests or connection responses, whether it's cold prospecting, whether it's congratulating, or just using video on your feed. Do it. Pick 1 or 2 of those things that you feel like you can start to hammer home and just start doing it every day. So the last thing I want to mention, and then we'll definitely start answering these last couple questions here is, guess what? We're doing this again next month. Hooray. The next month, we are diving into something that really we didn't have a choice but to dive into. The world has kind of put some circumstances before us, and it's how do we use video to build remote relationships? That's what we're doing right now. I mean, education is being thrust into this. So many people literally cannot go to their jobs. So how do we continue working? How do we continue building that relationships? It's exactly what we're going to address next month. So it's on April 21st at 10 a.m., our usual time. Make sure we are going to send up in this follow-up email, not only the recording of this webinar, so you can review that. We're also going to send you the link if you want to sign up for next month's webinar ahead of time. You can definitely do that there.
Yep. So a couple things, we are going to jump into the questions here. If you've been hanging on to a question, please put it in the Q&A box, not in chat right now. I do want to mention, we touched on this just briefly, but BombBomb as a company, in light of all of the school closures all over the United States and Canada, we actually decided that we wanted to offer our services free of charge to any teachers, educators, or school administrators. So if you know a teacher that is having to work remote and is trying to figure out how to stay connected with their students, send them to bombbomb.com/education. Allie and Aaron, can you throw that in the chat just so that people have it? This is totally free. This is not a bait and switch. This is not give us your credit card number and we're going to give it to you free for a while. We are 100% offering BombBomb free to all educators right now. And Kevin and I are actually doing trainings this week for them as well, so they know how to use it. So we absolutely want you to spread the word, share it out to your network, send it to your teachers, let them know that this is available to them right now. So want to look at some of these questions. Just to address some of them, maybe we already said it, but if you missed the answer, do you send video in a connection request or just after they have connected? I would encourage you to send it in the connection request because it gives you an opportunity to introduce yourself right away. Let them know why it is that you are reaching out and giving them an opportunity to start to build that human connection, the face-to-face. Another question here, Danny wants to know if you can screen share with an iPad. Unfortunately not. If you're using an iPad, you're primarily going to want to use our mobile app, as iPads are considered a mobile device, and that screen sharing option is going to be available on a desktop or laptop.
Yeah, I wanted to address one of the questions I saw from Delaney, make sure I pronounce that right. She was asking, like, I sort of understand LinkedIn, but I don't totally understand it. Do I have to be a full member to do all this stuff? I understand with LinkedIn, there's LinkedIn Pro, there's different versions of it. Everything that we have talked about is completely available on free LinkedIn. None of the strategies that we're talking about, you need to pay anything for. So it's just like using Facebook. All you have to do is give your information, right? If you already have your account, you can start using any of these techniques. In fact, I don't pay a dime for my LinkedIn, and I do a lot of these different techniques that we're talking about. So that's a great question. I'm so glad you brought that up so that we could address that. You can use it on the paid versions, but you don't have to by any stretch of the imagination.
David wanted to know if there is a replay of the webinar available. Always, if you have registered for a BombBomb webinar, we send you the recording afterwards. Usually it takes about a day because we want to put together, we've got to download the recording, put together a nice follow-up email, and all of the links that we referenced for the Chrome extension and things like that will be in that replay email. So look for it. But also, we put all of our webinars on bombbomb.com/webinar. So if you've missed a webinar or you want to go back and see previous webinars we did, again, bombbomb.com/webinar. All of our previous webinars live there, and this one will eventually end up there as well, but we will send it to you directly.
Yeah, one of the questions I saw as well, this is more of just like a BombBomb kind of technical question of what's the email address I should keep my eyes out for because I'm worried I'm missing some of the BombBomb emails. Unfortunately, they do come from a lot of different emails. So I can't say just look for this one. We have webinar at BombBomb. We have training at BombBomb. We have some different things. So what I always tell people to do if they're worried they missed emails is just go in the search menu in your email and just search BombBomb. If you write in BombBomb, every email we send will be from bombbomb.com. So you can't miss it from there. Always kind of check through that. We do also use some outside companies to do some of our mass emailing and those sort of things. So because of that, we don't get to control the deliverability. So check some of your different folders as well. Check your promotions folder. Occasionally stuff might slip into there just because we do use some outside companies for that, but just search for BombBomb.
I see a question. Lucinda wanted to know about changing the backgrounds, green screens, and things like that. I'm going to offer you a quick word on this, okay? Don't. Here's the deal. Especially when you're talking about connecting with people, right? When you're talking about sending videos over email or sending them in LinkedIn messages, the higher level something is produced at, when people see green screens and graphics and, you know, the music fading in while the logo flies across the screen, those things might be cool from a marketing perspective, but when it comes to making human connections, people blur their eyes at it. When we see something with a green screen, more likely than not, people are going to feel like they are being marketed to, and they are not going to respond to it the same way as if they were responding to a human connection. So yeah, there's some cool, fun things you can do. I would encourage you to stay away from that for these purposes. If you're running a marketing company and you're building high-level marketing content to promote your business publicly, that's where you maybe want to start thinking about green screens and higher level production. But for this kind of connection, keep it simple, keep it human.
Yeah, we get that question a lot. And so I love that people keep asking it. I think it's a very real consideration. Am I doing this right? There are great aspects for marketing videos, but that's not really what we speak about quite as much at BombBomb. We're more on that engagement side. Yeah.
So Kevin, we're at the top of the hour here. I think we're going to shut it down, but I did want to answer one more question that I saw here in chat, which is when pasting the link, you do not see the video thumbnail, but the receiver will correct. I'm going to be real honest with you and tell you, most of the time, that video thumbnail should be visible. However, when we're dealing with other softwares and other sites and Google Chrome that pushes its own updates and LinkedIn and Facebook that all push their own updates, sometimes we don't have a lot of control over the way that that is displayed. This has almost really nothing to do with BombBomb, how it's displayed in other platforms. So most of the time, they will see that video thumbnail. In fact, most of the time when I send a video to someone, once I send it, I do see the video thumbnail as well. But there will be from time to time, it may not display correctly. And it may be something as simple as LinkedIn just pushed an update that we haven't caught up with yet. So most of the time that video thumbnail will display. On occasion, it will not. That is why you use text to drive the video play.
Well, and Steven, I'll add one little note to that. I was literally sending a video message this morning and I put the link in, put my message. It did not show a preview until I clicked send. Once I hit send, that's when it actually registered that and popped the thumbnail up. So don't be worried. Sometimes that could be the case as well. I experienced that literally an hour and a half ago. So I know how that feels a little nervous clicking send when you're not sure what that looks like. But
ooh, we still have questions rolling in, guys. I know that you have lots of questions. If we were not able to answer your question today, go to our support site, support.bombbomb.com. There very well may be an answer to your question on our support site. You can search topically. So definitely, I see questions in there about notifications and things like that. Go to support.bombbomb.com. When you're on our support site, a chat bot will most likely pop up. And here's the thing, we do have humans manning chat, okay? So we want to help. We will send out the replay. So maybe your question was answered earlier on. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
We love Alicia. This is like Alicia and I's favorite time of the month is getting to hang out with you guys. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for using videos and being so receptive to everything. Get out there and start using it. We're excited. I saw some people saying this could be a game changer for me. I love that. I love that excitement. So pick one or two of the things that we talked about today and focus on that so that it's not overwhelming, so you're able to get it going. But as always, like Alicia said, if you need anything from us, reach out. We are so happy to have you guys as customers or potential customers. If you aren't signed up, go to BombBomb.com. We have a free trial that you can sign up for, and we've got people you can talk to. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Try not to get too stir crazy in your houses if you're in there. We're all in this together, all right? We'll keep battling with you guys. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.